My sister announced she was moving Mom into a nursing home at Dad's 70th birthday party, so I exposed something that made her lose everything. But what documents had I discovered? When my sister Teresa stood up during Dad's surprise birthday party at the Italian restaurant and tapped her wine glass for attention, my blood immediately ran cold. I could see that calculating look in her eyes as she scanned the private dining room filled with 40 relatives who had driven in from neighboring states for the celebration. "Everyone, while we're all gathered here, I need to make an important family announcement," she declared loudly, her voice cutting through the cheerful conversations and laughter. "As Mom's designated healthcare proxy, I've made the difficult decision to transition her to Willowbrook Memory Care Facility next Friday. The Alzheimer's has progressed too far for home care." The room fell dead silent while Dad's face went completely pale, his birthday cake sitting untouched in front of him with 70 unlit candles. Mom sat there confused, not fully understanding what was being discussed but sensing the sudden tension that had filled the room. "I've already sold Mom's jewelry collection to cover the deposit," Teresa continued matter-of-factly, pulling out a folder of paperwork. "And I'll be listing the house next month since Dad can move to the senior apartments downtown." My Aunt Rosa dropped her fork with a loud clatter while my brother Danny stood up so fast his chair tipped backward. Dad looked like someone had punched him in the stomach, tears starting to form in his eyes. But here's what Teresa didn't realize. I work as a paralegal at Brennan & Associates, the law firm that handles all of Mom and Dad's legal matters. Just last month, I was organizing files when I stumbled across something that made me physically sick to my stomach. Teresa had been slowly transferring ownership of Mom and Dad's assets into her name for the past 2 years, using a power of attorney document from when Mom had minor surgery in 2019. She'd moved their retirement accounts, changed beneficiaries on life insurance policies, and even put her name on the deed to their vacation cabin upstate. The most disgusting part of this whole scheme was that Teresa's husband had lost his construction business to gambling debts last year, something she'd hidden from the entire family while pretending everything was perfect at every Sunday dinner. I stood up from my seat, pulling out my phone with all the photographed documents I'd been collecting for weeks. "That's interesting about the healthcare proxy, Teresa," I began steadily, though my hands were shaking with anger, especially since Mom revoked that proxy 6 months ago and designated Dad instead. "I have the notarized paperwork right here." Teresa's smug expression started melting as family members turned to stare at her with growing suspicion and confusion. "But what's really interesting is the forensic accounting report I had commissioned," I continued, scrolling through the images on my phone. "Would you like to explain to everyone why Mom and Dad's retirement fund is suddenly missing $280,000? Or why their vacation cabin is mysteriously listed under your name as of 3 months ago?" "You don't know what you're talking about," Teresa snapped, her voice getting shrill as she clutched her folder tighter. "Actually, I do. The retirement account transfers to your personal checking account are all documented. The cabin deed transfer was filed without Mom and Dad's knowledge while they were visiting cousin Tony in Florida. The signature on that document? It doesn't even remotely match Dad's actual signature." Uncle Frank stood up slowly, his expression darkening dangerously. "You've been robbing your own parents? The jewelry you claim you sold for the nursing home deposit?" I pressed on, watching Teresa's face turn bright red. "I have the pawn shop receipts from 8 months ago, long before any nursing home discussion. That money went straight to paying off your husband's bookie." "Oh, and Willowbrook Memory Care?" I added, pulling up their website. "They have no record of any deposit or planned admission for Mom. I called them yesterday. You were planning to pocket whatever money you could squeeze from the house sale." Dad finally spoke, his voice breaking with betrayal. "Teresa, how could you? The original documents are already with the district attorney's office," I announced as Teresa started backing toward the door. "Elder abuse, fraud, forgery, and theft. They're particularly interested in the forged signatures." The birthday party erupted into chaos as Teresa tried to leave, but Danny and Uncle Frank blocked the exit while Aunt Rosa called the police. Mom just sat there confused, holding Dad's trembling hand while he processed that his own daughter had been systematically robbing them. "Thanks for making Dad's 70th birthday absolutely unforgettable, Teresa."